Shameless. United in the Europa League. Europa League. Let me tell them one time, and we say Europa League.
Bit of an error. What's going on, guys? Good morning. How's everybody doing? Welcome back to United View. I can't believe I went back to the thumb. Do you know what it is? It's because I was rushing. I was ready here, set up, 15 minutes to go. And I thought, you know what? I've got a little bit of time left. I'm going to try and get something a little bit special for the guys this morning. We're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to have the Europa League possible opponents moving forward. And I do have them. It's not worth it. It's not worth it because I'm late. It is worth it. Don't worry, guys. Welcome back to another edition of Matchday Reloaded. We're going to talk about Manchester United's 1-0 victory against Real Sociedad last night in San Sebastian. Unfortunately, though, it wasn't enough to top the group. I'm looking in the chat. Josh, no. Josh saying, it's a disgrace, it's a cheat. It's a disgrace, it's a cheat. He's laughing at me all the way from there in Spain. What a terrible start. It's only up from here, though. We are going to talk about Manchester United's 1-0 victory over Real Sociedad last night. As I mentioned, though, wasn't enough to top the group, and that means we're going to have a couple of games in February against Champions League dropout opponents. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the game, too. We're going to be talking about obviously the performances, Alejandro Garnacho. We're going to get some comments from Erik ten Hag. Going to get some comments from Bruno Fernandes. They spoke after the game. Going to get the reaction from all of the guys. Flex out there in Spain. Whoa, we've got a good video. We've got a good clip this morning. We've got Flex interacting with the Manchester United players after the game in the mix zone, and it's one of this big stuff happens. Okay, there's a thumbs up from Cristiano Ronaldo. There is possibly the most awkward and greatest handshake fist bump combination of all time you'll ever see from Flex and Casemiro. So if that's not to stay tuned for, I don't know what is. I'm going to get the reaction of KG, of course, was in UVHQ along with Marcel and Bina. So we've got a really jam-packed edition of Matchday Reloaded this morning, guys. So be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Housekeeping, as always. Remember, you can join the UV Members Club. Links in the video description. It's also the pinned comment in the live chat. You get your badges, your emojis. Such you could give me a yellow card. I think the way I started this morning, you can give me a yellow card. Or not a red. You know, if you're going to be on the same level as that referee last night, it would be a red card. But you can give me a yellow card this morning. I'll take it. Cynical foul. No problem. So you get your badges, your emojis, your exclusive members-only content, such as UV Raw. I've heard, and we have all heard, your calls and cries for more episodes of UV Raw. Usually, I would say the back catalogue is there. New episodes coming soon. New episodes are out right now. A new episode is out currently. It dropped Monday. It's the behind-the-scenes look at Manchester United's victory over Arsenal, which feels like a lifetime ago. There's excellent stuff in there. If you want to see some recklessness with Flex and KG calling Darren Bent on the phone after the game, or KG driving Josh back home because there's a storm and the trains are cancelled, it's well worth a watch. So you can get that if you're a member of the UV Members Club. Right, let's get into Erik ten Hag's quotes. Of course, as I mentioned, Manchester United did win, even though it didn't necessarily feel like a win last night. We did win in the Europa League. We beat Real Sociedad 1-0. Alejandro Garnacho with a first half goal gave us the victory and the 3 points, but not the top spot because we needed to win by 2 clear goals. Erik ten Hag, the Manchester United manager, after the game was asked about Garnacho and how impressive he has been in his 2 Europa League performances so far. Ten Hag said, quote, "We need options. We have problems there with injuries. I'm really happy with his performance. He was a threat." Now, overall, when it comes to finishing second and not getting the job done, as it were, or not fulfilling the goal that we aimed to do, which was to top the group, win the game by 2 clear goals, Ten Hag said, quote, "We are disappointed. We want to always be number one. And when we aren't disappointed, but there were some positives and we have to take them from here as well. You don't always get what you deserve in football. First game, a penalty. That wasn't a penalty. Today we win. I'm happy that," and some other things. And it was a really strange one, honestly, to analyse last night after the game, because yes, you won, and we won 1-0, and you can look back and reflect, I suppose, on that penalty at Old Trafford that shouldn't have been. It's a scandalous decision. It's never in a million years a penalty. I mean, he goes in for a tackle, Lisandro Martinez, and the ball skips up off his thigh and onto his arm, and the referee gives that a penalty. But I don't really want to reflect too much on that because, and I said this yesterday, we went into yesterday's game knowing what we had to do. We knew the the job needed. We knew the outline of what we had to do, and ultimately we didn't do it. I don't think Manchester United did enough in that game to win it by 2 clear goals. Maybe you could say the Ronaldo chance in the first half where he lobs the keeper. I don't even know if he was onside. I haven't actually seen that back yet. But particularly in that second half, we didn't do enough. For a team that was really chasing the game, and we were, because we were 1-0 up, but we were still chasing the game. We still were chasing that second goal. It was only really until, the 80th minute that we really started to threaten them again. And even then, when we were pumping the balls into the box and Harry Maguire comes on and goes up front, we never really threatened their goal. I can't recall their keeper having to make a big save in the second half. I can't recall us making as big chances as we did in the first half. And even then it was just a couple. So I think upon reflection, I don't think we did enough. We didn't do enough. We didn't do enough to win the group. We did enough to win the game, but we didn't do enough to win by 2 clear goals. And I think Ten Hag says there, you don't always get what you deserve. I mean, you can let me know in the chat. Do you think that we deserve to win that game by 2 clear goals? I mean, and again, this is why it's difficult to analyse, because if this wasn't a game where you had to win by 2 clear goals, you'd have come out of that game last night and gone, didn't play amazingly, didn't create a lot, but defended pretty well, 1-0, no problem. But we knew going into the game exactly what we had to do, and we didn't do it. And we could only really hold ourselves accountable on that. Yes, we can reflect on bad refereeing decisions. And last night the referee was shocking, as Josh would say, a disgrace, a cheat, and a flex actually, well, he didn't say it directly. You'll see what I mean. They walked past, it kind of was, you're a disgrace, you're a cheat. And then they left. You are a disgrace, you're a cheat. We're not in the business of abusing officials. But they were really, really bad last night. But still, I hate blaming officials on whatever, because we still had 90 minutes to get that game done and win it by 2 goals. And we didn't. We just didn't do that. And it's about managing that. And it reminded me of the game against Atletico last year. I think there's some stat floating around where it's something like in the second half or throughout the entirety of the game, the ball was only in play 50 minutes. And that's the second time that's happened to us. It happened to us against Atletico at Old Trafford last year. But again, upon reflection, you just can't let the opposition team manage that. You have to manage the game more effectively. And I think it is a valid point when it comes to the ref that the referee, and this has happened a couple of times, they lose control of the game and they allow the team to do that. They allow the team to be rolling around on the floor. They allow the team to be time wasting. They allow the game to be stop, start, stop, start, stop, start. Nevertheless, you have to grab the game by the scruff of the neck, and you have to do something with it. You've got the quality players in your side, and you have to persevere. And I don't think we did enough. That's my opinion on it anyway. Now, Ten Hag did say there were positives to take last night, which of course there were. He said the performance from Garnacho, Donny back in the side. We'll talk about Donny later on. I think we made a really good goal with Garnacho and some good chances as well in the first half. But of course, we are disappointed we didn't score 2. I hope he, referring to Garnacho, can keep the process going. He was a threat. He scored a goal. He was reliable defending. If he can keep this going, then I am really, really happy. He spoke about his substitutions, which were kind of criticised, certainly. He said, especially when we changed the shape, that was kind of forced a little bit with Victor Lindelof going off. I guess he could have brought on Harry Maguire as a defender. He didn't. He decided to bring him on as a striker, as a target man. Ten Hag said to bring extra offensive players in was the idea, but in that moment we were too erratic. We didn't work that good on the ball anymore, so we bring less balls in the box. That process didn't work well. In the last 10 minutes we got the ball in the box and created a good chance, but that was the idea. We have to take risks, that's what we did, and to keep a clean sheet was very good. I do agree with what he's saying there, and again this is where I go back to we didn't do enough, particularly in the second half. For large portions of that second half, Real Sociedad dominated. Real Sociedad had a lot of the ball in the second half, and we were pinned back. I recall at least a 20-minute period where we could not get up. We could not get up the pitch. We could not barely get out of our own half. And you had to take a step back and go, wait a minute, we're the side that's meant to be chasing the game, chasing the goal, and it looked like Real Sociedad were doing that. So again, upon reflection, if you look at the game overall, I didn't think we did just enough. And look, people will laugh and mock the last 10 minutes or so of Harry Maguire coming on as a striker. I guess if that's not a message that we're light, then I don't know what is. And we've been saying it, and I think everyone knew it. heading into this season and after the first couple of games of the season. Okay, after the summer signings, that's great. We've got a good starting 11, 12, 13, 14 maybe. But with injuries, with suspensions, with illnesses, whatever, we're quite light in key areas. And it will show like that. And we need a striker anyway, let alone... when we literally don't have any options for one. Last night, so we bring on Harry Maguire. Do I expect Manchester United to go out in January and realistically sign a striker? No, I don't. I don't think Manchester United will do that realistically. I think that the idea will be that the money's not there. We overspent in the summer. That'll be just the justification. And from what we've seen, the reports and rumours out there, and they are just that, reports and rumours, so take them with a pinch of salt, but the reports have been that come January, the focus and mindset is on the people that are already at the club. So people like Garnacho, people like Rashford, people like David De Gea, Fred, whoever else's contracts are expiring, Diogo Dalot, they want to get them sorted in January. Because of that, it might mean that the incomings will be pretty light in January. Maybe we get a right back. We don't know. But it means that we've got a challenging tie in February. And on top of that, I was seeing something last night. You can let me know in the live chat because I don't know if this is accurate, but I was seeing something last night with them saying that actually, if you look at the calendar, if you actually look at like the football calendar in February, there isn't... like the Premier League might have an issue because... it's going to be really difficult to fit that tie in because pretty much from January onwards, like this past October, where it's game, Sunday, game Wednesday or Tuesday or whatever, that is the case for Manchester United basically between now and the end of the season. Once we're back after the World Cup and you get out of that sort of December period, that sort of holiday period, once you get into January, by all accounts, it's literally... Wednesday or Thursday, Sunday, every single time of all the different cup competitions because you've got the EFL Cup, the FA Cup, Europa League. Now, the Premier League, and plus you've got midweek games of the Premier League that have been postponed and they've had to have been rearranged. So so the general consensus is where the game's going to fit in. Granted, United could go out of the EFL Cup or the FA Cup, and maybe that's what the Premier League are hoping, but there's a lot of issues in terms of rearranged games. As Josh says in the chat there's a couple of slots free in May, but it's going to be a hectic remainder to the season, certainly. Super chat from VK says, the better manager lost yesterday, to be fair, Ten Hag schooled. Wow. Again, I think that certainly you could argue the substitutions didn't work in the second half for Erik Ten Hag. Certainly the change of shape didn't work. We changed the shape. We went to a back three, and that really didn't work. The midfield just got completely bypassed, and suddenly every single time Sociedad came forward, it felt like one-on-one defending. I do think also, again, in that second half, for our quality on the ball just evaporated. Absolutely evaporated. We reverted, and this just goes to show how fragile Manchester United still can be, in that we reverted to type straight away, couldn't pass the ball. And this is when I go back to, we didn't manage the game properly because we let the atmosphere get to us. Yes, the referee's making bad decisions, but I don't know if it's because we're frustrated or the crowd get up because they're seeing their players go down and they're seeing, our players get angry or what have you. We didn't manage the game properly. We let it get to our heads, and because of that, our quality on the ball suffered. We could barely string together any passes. I think that Marcus Rashford came on and probably put in his worst performance of the season. In all actuality, he was really, really poor when he came on, Marcus Rashford, yesterday. He looked completely different from the player we've been seeing recently, didn't he? So again, that was really frustrating to watch in the game, and we just lost all quality second half. We really, really did, and that was really frustrating. Bruno Fernandes spoke to BT Sport after the game. Here's what he had to say. Our goal today was winning by a 2-goal difference. We tried everything, took more risks in the end. We knew they could get more chances. Another clean sheet is important, though. Spoke about Garnacho. He was good, but he knows we expect a lot from him. In the tour, he didn't have the best attitude. That's why he didn't get chances until now. He's getting his chances because he's training better, different attitude, and deserves it, which is interesting because that's what Erik ten Hag exactly said when he spoke about Garnacho last week when we played against Sheriff. And the question was, Garnacho played really well tonight. Why hasn't he played since now? And he said there were some attitude issues. And there were some rumours and rumblings that I think everyone heard from the tour, and they were unsubstantiated. But the fact that Bruno and Ten Hag have both come out and said, oh no, it was just, you needed to get his head on straight. And that's what you need to do. As a young player, you need to, and that's why the manager and the senior pros make examples and set an example. And hopefully now it can be the beginning of something pretty special, because there were positives last night. There were. You know, you do look at Garnacho. You do look at the fact we won. Another clean sheet. Again, if you take the game out of context and you look at that result, you would say, well, decent result, away from home, a win, a clean sheet. You've got your 18-year-old scoring a goal in a pressure moment. There are positives to take out of the game, but ultimately we just didn't do enough in what was required. Now, Bruno was actually starting on the right-hand side last night, wasn't he, of course? And Bruno said about playing from the right, I play wherever the coach needs me to play. It's not my position, but I try my best to help the team and be involved in the way that can help the team. And to be honest, look, I think Bruno did... This is why it's difficult to analyse. He did okay last night. He got the pass before the assist, once again, a bit like he did on Sunday. I thought in parts of the game he was quiet. Bruno's going to be Bruno's. But points I thought he was somewhat wasteful. I wouldn't want going forward to see more of that, to be honest with you. I think that Bruno, when he's on that right-hand side, clearly we lose a lot of width. His natural game wants to come inside and wants to be in more central areas, and he's far more effective as a number 10. As I mentioned, we are going to talk about Donny van der Beek later on, because I thought he ghosted throughout the majority of the game, and that's not a Donny van der agenda. I've got my reasonings for that. We'll touch on it later on. But I think Bruno's the 10. But unfortunately, Bruno's not going to be playing on Sunday because he's suspended, of course. And finally, Bruno was asked about Manchester United's possible opponents dropping down from the Champions League. He said, we don't need to look at that. We have to play against one of them. That's not a problem for us. If we want to win the competition, we have to play good teams in any moment of the competition. And we are going to talk about the possible opponents a bit later on. But it must be said, I don't think we should fear any opponents coming down. I still think we're good enough to beat any of the opponents going down. I really do think. I know people will look at Barcelona and the players that they have, but they're not playing particularly well. You know, there's obviously Ajax and there's obviously Juventus and there's big sides. We'll touch on it a bit later on. But I think with the form we're playing at the moment, and even last night, we didn't play at our best. We still won that game, and we're still getting through games, keeping clean sheets and scoring goals. We should be scoring more, but I don't think we're in a position to be, we should be absolutely terrified of these opponents. We've proven in these top 6 games this season, our record against the big sides is good. We've got players that show up for big matches and big occasions. The biggest issue isn't necessarily the opponent, it's just having the match itself. It's having those 2 extra games. That's really the issue. M. Sati says, do I need to pay for a super chat if I'm a member? Well, I guess you just did, M. Sati, but appreciate the contribution and appreciate all of the support as always. Caramore says, loved the attitude yesterday. It's been a long time since I felt the team really wanting it. Scoring goals is a big problem, but Erik ten Hag is making progress. Worried we will lose momentum with the World Cup. And you know what, Caramore? I think that's a good positive super chat. I still do think that we are making progress. I do believe, I do agree with you. It's got stuck. There you go. I do agree that we are still making progress. We are still playing decent football. We're still going on in that process, and that's going to take time. Likewise, I'm a bit concerned about the momentum when it comes to the World Cup. I guess if you look at it from a positive point of view, some of the players could come back with form. The negative point of view is it stops the momentum that we do have, and we could get some injuries, and anything can and will happen when it comes to this World Cup. So that's certainly the worrying factor, but there's not a lot we can really do about that, certainly. Flex, as I mentioned, was out there in San Sebastian in Spain. He was inside the stadium for the game last night. Here's what he had to say on Manchester United's victory, but overall finishing second in the group.
Frustrating. Erik ten Hag alluded to the positives, the fact that, okay, we've come here, we've kept a clean sheet, we've come here, we've won the game, but in the context of the group, obviously we have not finished top of the group. And you know what? Lack of being clinical has cost us across the group. When you think back to Ammonia, those 2 games against Ammonia, the one that was away was a real big problem in terms of conceding those 2 stupid goals, even though we scored 3. And the one at home when, Scott McTominay scores in the last minute, gets us the win, made about 50 shots. That game should have been about 5-6-0. And if we would have dispatched of those teams to the level that we should have done, then it would have been a different story. And I think that's the most important thing to take from this, that the reason why we haven't topped the group is kind of our own doing. You know, it's not like we didn't create enough chances to score enough goals to not have to come here and win by that margin, you know. Look, the game that Sociedad had at home, again, was another one where it was early in our development. I understand that. And we just wasn't good enough on the night in terms of creating chances, but we definitely didn't deserve to lose. And if we would have drawn, that would have been a different story. But look, it's all if, buts and maybes. I'm not actually gutted. I'm not gutted. I got the understanding that in our development, these not even these results, but these things will be an issue. If we're talking about the game, I want to talk about Cristiano Ronaldo. He plays a great ball in for Garnacho over there on the left-hand side. And other than that, I just felt like, again, he kind of just making it about himself. And you know what? I think back to when I was in the Wanda Metropolitano Stadium in Atletico Madrid last year in the Champions League. And it's almost like Ronaldo has this thing, kind of does it in the Premier League as well, but he has this thing that when he's back in Spain, it was almost like he wants to make it about himself. I just felt he'd done things that made the emotion of the game more difficult for us. Do you know what I mean? And I'll get to tactically and things that we did wrong as a team. So I'm not just blaming it all on Cristiano Ronaldo. But, you know, little things like petulant fouls, going down too easy, moaning at the ref. It just got these 36,000 fans just in uproar. And just, I don't know, the occasion, it just changed the emotion of the game. If I'm talking about what he was offering as well, he struggled to get himself into the game. I thought we gave away too many balls in terms of like dominance in the midfield. I think Christian Eriksen got caught a couple of times. He wasn't at his sparkling best. And we just struggled to create the amount of chances that we needed to win a game like this.
The views are flexed there in San Sebastian at the Real Arena there with Manchester United's 1-0 victory over Real Sociedad last night. Be sure to smash a like on the like button, guys, see if we can get to 150 likes. Troy Superstars here this morning, and he's got a super chat. Says, Owen KG. KG's not here. I demand an apology. Now you're talking coming second, just 6 points. Told you we are winning the league. Apology, please. I'm not sure. I saw that super chat come up whilst the clip was playing there, Troy, and I still am not sure what your point is there. You want me to apologise for now you're talking coming second, just 6 points, told you we're winning the league. You want me to apologise because we're winning the league? But we haven't. I still don't think we are. I'll tell you what, Troy, if we win the league at the end of the season, I am more than happy to give you an apology. I would love it. I even said earlier on in the season, if we won the league, I'd shave my head like Erik ten Hag. So I'd love to do it. I'd love to win the league. Don't worry about it. M Sati as well is the latest member of the UV Members Club. Welcome, M Sati. Welcome. And as I mentioned, be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well. Bottom right-hand corner. So speaking of this, these possible opponents, let's get these up on the screen here, because this is why I was actually a minute late this morning. These are the possible opponents we could get. You can see them right there in the Europa League come February. We could get Ajax, Bayer Leverkusen, Barcelona, Sporting Lisbon, Red Bull Salzburg, RB Salzburg, Shakhtar Donetsk, Sevilla and Juventus. Let me know in the chat who you would like to face, or who would you want to play, who would you want to avoid out of those sides come February. There are certainly several stories that could come out of that, isn't there? Obviously, Ajax right there. You could say it's the Erik ten Hag derby coming back to Amsterdam. We bought so many players from them in the summer. Anthony, Lissandro Martinez. We were chasing after even more players. We were going after Jurrien Timber, etc. I mean, that one's just set up there, isn't it? That one could be a possibility. Barcelona is probably, well, they are the biggest side, and that's certainly, I would say, the one that probably most people want to avoid. And obviously, there's a ton of story that comes there, of course. You could have the situation where it's we were after Frankie de Jong all summer. They activated 755.276 financial levers to win the league and to win the Champions League, only to not even get out of the group stage, and then the Europa League once again. So certainly with a bit of bad blood there from the summer, we could face them. That could certainly be a story. Even if it's Sporting Lisbon, the homecoming of Cristiano Ronaldo back to his boyhood club, that could be a situation. That could be a possibility. Lisbon, of course, one of the teams that were linked with Ronaldo in the summer. So maybe Sporting could be that tie, and that wouldn't be a bad tie for us. We saw, though, when they faced Spurs in the Champions League, they're no mugs. They played pretty well. That would be a difficult tie. If it's Sevilla, I mean, Sevilla. I mean, it gives me shudders to think about. I remember that Champions League time when we faced Sevilla in the knockout stage of Jose's penultimate season, and we thought we were going to go quite far in the Champions League that season. It was terrible. Absolutely, particularly that game at Old Trafford. It was awful. I have no interest in playing Sevilla again, or just playing Spanish sides, really. Our record's awful. And then, of course, Juventus. There is the story there that by then, you would think maybe Paul Pogba could be back for Juve, and that could mean that Paul Pogba would be facing Manchester United, returning to Old Trafford. That could definitely be a possibility. Of course, Pogba isn't going to the World Cup, so he could be and should be ready to go by that point come February. So there's lots of different stories there. As far as who I'd want, honestly, I really don't have a preference. Of course, you would probably say RB Salzburg, maybe, but they're all tough games. And as I said earlier on, I don't think we're in the position to be fearing anyone. I don't think we should. I think given the football that we're playing this season, given the football we have played this season, why should we be afraid? Why should we be fearing these teams? When we've played top teams at Old Trafford, and even away from home, when we played Chelsea, we've played all right. And it was only in the group stage, it was only an earlier on game against Real Sociedad at Old Trafford and a bit of a dubious refereeing decision that really cost us in the end. And we didn't score enough goals, obviously. But, I would look at those teams and say any team, we could give them a go. I absolutely do. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. A lot of people saying Salzburg, saying Shakhtar. Benjamin saying avoid Juve. Everyone else I'm happy with. Steffi Jenks says wouldn't mind any of them, and that's kind of the mindset I'm at, Steffi, at the moment. Is I don't mind. I don't think we're in the position where we should be afraid of any of them. Stephen says it doesn't really matter what team we face. I think we can handle any of these teams. Actually, it'd be good if I got the chat above. There you go. It doesn't matter what team we face. I think we can handle any of these teams. Robbie says would love Barca and then we beat them. VK says no Barca, Ajax, Sporting or Juve. Can't imagine all built up to it won't be about the game itself, but Frankie de Jong, Ten Hag, CR7, Pogba, of course with Ronaldo as well. Actually, that's a great point with Juventus. If it was Juventus, it'd be with the return of Ronaldo to Juventus as well. That would be certainly something. V33 with a super chat, appreciate the contribution, says I want Barca. Man United needs to slap them up dirtbags. It would certainly be a massive match, no doubt about it. A lot of people saying give me Juventus. Wizard says Barca and Juventus. So, and then Lamino says Leverkusen would be great so I can get to watch United play in Germany. Yes. So look, there are some really interesting ties there. I'm not sure when the draw is. It's relatively soon, is it not? I think it's before the end of the year, certainly. So there are certainly some really interesting ties there. And as I've said, I don't think that Manchester United should necessarily be afraid of anyone. I think that any of those teams there we can absolutely beat. So we'll have to wait and see. Now, as I mentioned, Flex was in Spain yesterday, and after the game, he was in the mix zone where the players walk through or they speak to the media after the game, and he had some interactions with some Manchester United players, including the likes of Ronaldo, Casemiro, and keep an eye out for what is maybe, and I'm saying this is a very awkward guy, keep an eye out for maybe one of the most awkward fist bump handshakes of all time. Let's take a closer look.
You got to shoot. All right, next time, make sure. I know what you like. We nearly did it, bro. We nearly did it. Next time, man. Next time. No, it's a disgrace. It's the cheats. It's the linos. It's the refs. Disgrace. The cheats. Guys. Decisions today, man. Disgrace, cheat. Disgrace, cheat. Cheat, disgrace. They were shocking. Both games, shocking. Disgrace, cheat. Let them walk home. Oh. Disgrace, cheat. Well done, Cass. Well done. Next time, man. Next time. Well done. I know what you're going to say. Shouldn't have touched Bruno. Shouldn't have touched Casemiro. But got big up the boys in it. They tried. The more awkward thing was Casemiro went for the spud. I've gone for the potato spam. He's one of them, no. Language barrier, Wasn't really sure which one he was going to go for, Is what it is. But the refs, they're disgraced, they're a cheat. I want to let their tyres down. Time wasters. You, man, with time wasters. Absolute time wasters. Oh, dropped your watch. Have you? Dropped your watch. One, I don't know if they're actually Sociedad players. And two, they don't understand me. But if they are Sociedad players, they're disgraced, they're cheats. Have you dropped your watch? Real Sociedad, they're disgraces, they're cheats.
Now, you've got to put the microphone down. Real Sociedad. Disgrace, they're cheats. I don't care if they can't understand me. Where's the watch? Where's the watch?
Yes, Scotty, keep it up, bro. Yes. Don't leave me hanging. He tried. He tried to leave me hanging. You're getting a touch as well, Scott. My judge is real. I'm going to infect back the goals and infect back the courageousness and the clean sheets to keep it going. Even Scott was like, I don't want to touch you because you might. I can't touch you. I was like, Scott, you can. Yes, Diogo, can we just get 2 minutes? You got to go. Listen, just keep it up though, man. Immense. You're a robot. You keep going. The lungs. The robot. The robot. The lungs.
The android.
The android. His lungs was mad. He had a decent game today as well. Maybe I should stop touching the players. I could just feel all you guys in the comments say stop doing this. But I don't care. I'm a disgrace. I'm a cheat. I'm a fan. I don't care.
Well done. Keep going, bro. Keep going. Well done, Ronnie. Keep it up, man. Keep it up, bro.
Well, I touched a grand total of 5 players. Let's see how they do against Aston Villa.
I'm nervous. I'm worried, I'm a little bit shaky because there was a lot. There was a lot of touching there. There was a lot of skin-on-skin contact. The judge is very real. And what was it? McTominay, Bruno, Casemiro. I can feel it already. The judge. And you know what? I actually feel a bit bad for Flex at this point because he's rattled. Clearly he's rattled because you saw it right there. He was like, I can already see in the comments people saying, don't touch the players, don't touch the players. You're right. Don't touch the players. We've got games to win. We've got tournaments to win. Fleck. I was talking about positives this morning. There's stuff to be positive about. Oh no. It's fine. But what was good? In all seriousness, I'm really broke my microphone. In all seriousness, he touched Dallo. He touched Dallo and said, the lung, stamina, hamstring injury, out misses the World Cup. You can imagine it. You can see it coming. What was good, though, was the Casemiro. He got full-on cabbaged. Brilliant. And look, and he got a thumbs up and a wink from Ronaldo as well. So there you go. Big up Flex, bringing us that A1 content that we all love and adore. Shout out to Flex. Shout out to Josh as well, doing the hard work over there in Spain. As I mentioned, hopefully their trip back over here is a bit better and smoother sailing than it was going out there. They had to do the tours. So they basically went interrailing to make sure you get there because their flight was cancelled. And I don't know if you saw this. This is another peek behind the curtain that before they went out there, Flex checked the weather to see what it was going to be like to pack appropriately and accordingly. And he typed in Sociedad instead of San Sebastian for where obviously Real Sociedad is based. So he was looking at the weather of Sociedad. The issue is that Sociedad is in El Salvador. So he was looking at the weather in El Salvador and didn't really pack properly. They were walking around there in shorts and t-shirt. And then I'd check on Josh's story and he's wearing a poncho because it was raining. So, yeah, experienced travellers. Big up them both, though, as always. It's tremendous. What was I talking about? Alejandro Garnacho. Let's talk a little bit about Alejandro Garnacho because he did get his goal yesterday evening, and it was a great goal. It reminded me, as I said, and I'm very reluctant to compare. Once you say someone is like a young Cristiano Ronaldo or anything like that, Josh says he packed for rain, poncho settings. He did have his poncho on him, which is excellent. The Josh poncho is excellent. And it's not his first one because his other one got stolen at the studio. That's a fact. There are thieves in that studio. Alejandro Garnacho, though, the goal he scored yesterday was excellent. Good way to pass from Cristiano Ronaldo. And he still had a lot to do. That's the thing that I thought was the most impressive with Garnacho. It's a good pass from Ronaldo, but he's still got to travel with the ball, and his finish is absolutely superb. And now, that left-hand side is truly, properly up for grabs, certainly. You've got, obviously, Marcus Rashford, who I would say is probably the priority player in that position at the moment. But you've got Alejandro Garnacho, and you've got Jadon Sancho. Think about it. I mean, let me know in the live chat, what is the order there in terms of where they stand at the moment? Would you say it's Rashford, Garnacho, Sancho? Has Sancho really fallen down the pecking order that much into the third position? I think by his recent form, you would probably say that. The thing is, when you compare Garnacho to Sancho, and this is when you have to be a little bit careful, I think. One, obviously, Garnacho is very young, and he still is going to be inconsistent. He's had 2 good games in the Europa League. Can he maintain that on a consistent level? We'll have to wait and see. But when you compare Garnacho to Sancho, we have to be careful because they are totally different players. You can't look at Jadon Sancho and go, why don't you do what Alejandro Garnacho does? Because he's never been that. He's never been that player to have that pace to run directly at the fullback and try and go past him. It's been always more technical than that. The issue is, at the moment, is that Jadon Sancho is just not playing well at all. And when we're playing games, certainly I think back to that Chelsea game, we carried him. He looks devoid of confidence. In comparison to Alejandro Garnacho, that's young, and maybe it's youthful exuberance or naivety, he doesn't look like he has any fear. He gets the ball at his feet. He's going to try and take on the fullback or try and go past him and play to his strengths. And I think that's refreshing. And I think that's one thing that is missing from our attack in a lot of games is pace, is raw pace of people running at people. Because even Anthony, that's not what he really does. He's got skills, obviously, and he always wants to cut inside and whip it with his left foot. And we've seen the shot that he has, and we've seen the skills that he'll try and do, the spin, and out for a goal kick. But we don't really have many wingers that have raw pace, that get the ball, and as soon as they get the ball, all they're thinking is, I'm going to go at this player, and I'm going to go past him, and I'm going to get into the box. And that's why I think Garnacho is going to be so important for us this season. And my hope is that, one, we tie him down to a long-term contract, and two, that he can maintain this level. If he can maintain this level and he's nowhere near his peak at the moment, then we've got a heck of a player on our hands there. Really do. It's important to keep him grounded. As they mentioned earlier on, there were some attitude issues maybe in the summer. But it's important they get grounded and they get resolved. Again, that can happen with young players. It's now upon Erik ten Hag and the people around Garnacho to manage him properly, and the hope is that he'll do that. Do I expect Garnacho to start at the weekend? Maybe. I mean, no. I mean, probably it would be. I mean, yeah, to be honest, I don't know, actually, thinking about it. Because I was going to say, well, Rashford would start on the left and Ronaldo would start up front. Who's to say Ronaldo's going to start up front? We keep forgetting this. It could be, once again, Rashford up front and Garnacho on the left. And on the right-hand side, maybe Anthony will be back. Maybe Martial will be back at that point. Hopefully these players are going to be coming back and they'll be ready for the weekend. So you can let me know if you think Garnacho starts. Rugby says Rashi, Garnacho, Sancho. Relentless says Garnacho, Rashford, and Sancho at the moment. So that's saying how the order of priority at the moment. Lil Yo says no, he's not starting at the weekend. Garnacho. I mean, thing is though, it is possible because Erik ten Hag has proven at this point that if you get an opportunity and you score or you affect the game positively, I'll keep the momentum going. I'll keep the momentum going. So you can't rule it out, certainly. Now, I spoke to KG after the game. It was KG's birthday yesterday. So happy birthday once again for yesterday. Hope he had a great day. Hope he had a good evening with his daughter as well. This is the dedication of a guy like KG. He came all the way back from the Lake District. He was out in the Lake District, my area of the world, celebrating his birthday and I think his anniversary as well. And he came back yesterday. Instead of going home, he came straight to the studio for the match field for your enjoyment and for your entertainment. So big up KG. Hope you had a great birthday. If you can spot it, it might be difficult to spot, but he is wearing a birthday badge. See if you can spot it. I spoke to him after the game. Here's what KG had to say.
Happy birthday, but it doesn't. It feels like.
Actually, yeah. Sorry.
Like,
Happy birthday.
No. So it's not like.
Get the badge in.
It's like, come on, get the badge in. I wanted more. It's one of those ones where the day was perfect, but like. You probably got the different cake that you didn't really want. Yeah. Now, I wanted the Madeira cake.
No disrespect, Paolo.
No disrespect from Paolo and the Madeira cake. I'm saying that you just wanted the icing on top of the cake, really. That was the thing when you look at today's result. It's weird because it's not a loss, but it feels that way a little bit. And I have to just remember, I do need to take some positives out of the game. Again, that was a battle. I think players are going to learn a lot more about themselves in that 90 minutes, and Ten Hag's going to learn a lot about his team in that 90 minutes. They had to fight. I don't believe, in terms of, talk about having bastards in the game and like those players that are going to be really aggressive. I think Real Sociedad had more. In the way they played it perfectly. We're supposed to be a football inside. It kind of reminds me of the days, when Arsenal had that beautiful football inside in the past, and you just hit them until they try to fight you, and then there's no more football being played. And you can tell it. We went away for our philosophies today. We were out physical out of the game. And before, you would say about Man United is, if you wanted to get physical with us, we'd get physical right back. You don't really have those characters in it, except Casemiro, where you think McTominay's going to come in and be that kind of that meat in the middle of the pitch, right? And he wasn't. He wasn't that hatchet man stopping them, because you want him to think, bloody hell, he might be here. I've got to be careful. Didn't happen. I think Real Sociedad played a blinder in terms of the match worked perfectly for them in terms of some, even down to decisions. They outplayed us at the game that they wanted to play. If we stuck to our philosophy, I think we win that game. But then you start to say to yourself, Harry Maguire up front lets you know.
Talk to me about that. What does that say? Is that not a message?
It means we need to spend in Jan. We've been waiting for Martial to come back, Martial to be free. And these are the games where you say, Martial being the striker he is, it hurts us. To go to Harry Maguire is, you can't get any lower than that in saying, look, I need to go. Harry, even Harry must have thought, really?
Yes, KG's thoughts there, and a happy birthday to him once again for yesterday. You saw that, get the badge in. I don't know why I pointed the microphone to it, like it was going to talk. But there you go, thoughts of KG at UVHQ after the game. Be sure to smash a like on the like button, guys. Be sure to subscribe as well, bottom right-hand corner. Got nearly 500 people watching. How many likes have we got? Only 111, all of the ones, 111. We can go higher, we can go higher, we can go more. You know me on these solo streams. You can do it, as we always say. KG spoke about Casemiro after the game yesterday. I thought Casemiro did really well. I thought, again, Casemiro played well. I thought Eriksen did well. Donny van de Beek, we do have to talk about, unfortunately. I kind of said this in my in my fan view yesterday, that I've been painted with the brush of having the Donny van de agenda. I thought yesterday he did a performance that he's done a lot for Manchester United, which was some nice touches, some nice movement off the ball, got into some good pockets of space. Maybe he wasn't found at points, but largely ghosted through the game. And that's kind of Donny van de Beek at Manchester United. And it's not, obviously, he wasn't the only player that did that on the pitch. I thought Eriksen was very quiet throughout the game, and others. But I look at Donny, and sometimes it's one thing, and this has always been my thing. It's you can make those runs and you can do those nice touches, but if nobody's finding you, it comes a point whereby you say, okay, affect the game. Go and grab the ball and do something with it. Go and do something with it. Go and affect the game. Go create a chance. Go have a shot. Do something just to try and make the ball come to you a bit more. And he just largely sort of drifted through the game, and eventually he came off, and you go, well, he did okay. And I understand also he's coming back from an injury, and I understand that he doesn't have a ton of match rhythm, and I understand that prior to this, it's only been largely cameos for his near 3 years, his third season at Manchester United, but he's got to do more. He's got to do more in the game. And that's always been my thing with it. Got to do more. Now, he's probably, I would think, going to start on Sunday, which is good. I hope he gets this run of games, and I hope we see the Donny that we saw at Ajax finally. I hope we see, it was on tour, I think it was against Palace. He came on. I think he came on, and for 45 minutes, he was excellent, and Manchester United played excellent, and he did find some space, and he did have some link-up. So I'm not saying it can't work and it's not there. I'm just saying in games like that last night, you can't afford to have players that are drifting through the game. And that's it, you know. Sometimes running into space or running into good areas is one thing, but you've got to affect the game. You've got to do something. Sometimes you want to shake him, you know, show something, do something, and you just don't see it. And again, that might be an agenda. That might be a Donny van de agenda or whatever. But is what it is. Be sure to smash a like on the like button, guys. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Benjamin says, Donny is not it. Drop the emotions. He won't cut it. A-Bub says, agenda must agenda. Van agenda. I just, and again, I don't want to single out him as being poor last night, because I don't think he was I wouldn't say he's poor, and he wasn't the only one that drifted through the game and didn't play well again. I thought Eriksen was quiet, and I thought Bruno did okay, actually. But, there were other players that sort of drifted through the game, and Manchester United as a team, particularly in that second half, didn't do all that much and didn't create that much. And I think, someone like Eriksen would deserve some criticism last night, because, again, he didn't play particularly well and he drifted through the game. But I've also seen Christian Eriksen have excellent performances for Manchester United, and I've also seen games where if Eriksen is drifting through the game, he'll go, as he said in the press conference, I'll go where the ball is, basically meaning I'll go and find the ball so I can get on the ball so I can affect the game. And sometimes Donny doesn't do that. And again, I don't even think that's a physicality thing. I think it's almost a mentality kind of situation. And it is what it is. Ed says Donny's a consistent 5 or 6 out of 10. I get the frustration. Maybe it's that. And honestly, I really, really, really do hope that it works out for Donny. As I've said, I really think it's the bottom of the ninth for him at the moment. It's really now or never. He's been at the club a long time. Granted, he hasn't played a lot of games during that period. It's always been substitute appearances. But if it was ever going to work, it would be under this manager. And Erik ten Hag said a positive of last night was Donny, that Donny was back. And that is. He will be an important player because, he's a player that can, hopefully do something for United. But you want to see more. That's it. And maybe it is going to be a thing of consistency. Maybe it is going to be a thing of him starting more games and having a better run in the side, but it's got to be now or never. I really do think so. Speaking of people we spoke to last night at UVHQ, I spoke to Marcel. He was there watching the match view with us. Here's what Marcel had to say, and then we're going to talk about, you guessed it, David De Gea.
Said it, Owen. At the end of the day, we knew what we had to do, and we didn't do it, unfortunately. We played in spells. I mean, the second half was very, very much worse than the first half. They were a lot stronger in that second half. But even in the second half, it took us about 10 minutes to get into the game. But when we did get into the game, we had goal-scoring moments. Could have been 2-0 up just before half-time as well. So that's a positive. I mean, when we was playing well, it came through Casemiro breaking up play, really dominating the midfield in spells, obviously, because they did have their moments in that first half as well. But Garnacho's just brilliant. I mean, just goes through the gears, gets a goal for us, fantastic finish. Had other moments in terms of his decision making when he's looking for Ronaldo, but you just need to be a bit more selfish. As a top player, if you want to be a top player, you've got to be able to take those moments. But Donny just looked he wasn't there. He was ghost today.
Yeah, talk to me about Donny. I mean, I've been accused of the Donny van agenda. I know you don't do agendas at all. Don't worry about that. We'll get on to De Gea later on. But talk to me about Donny again. Was he ghosting for you today?
Yeah, he's just not seeming to fit into this side at the moment. And a lot of people would say, that right now we're in the phase 1 of the development in terms of Ten Hag ball. And later on, when you get into, more crisp football, people know where to be in, what positions they need to be in, then we'll see the best of Donny. But that's maybe too late. You want the performances now. You even mentioned, he's been here for a few years now. When is he going to be able to bed into this side? And, just looked a bit awkward today, wasn't able to get himself about the pitch or make any real effect on the game. Bruno was doing well from the right-hand side at times, helps, for the secondary assist, I think KG putting out for the goal. But then again, we just want goals, and Ronaldo has a key opportunity to make the difference in the game and misses, and then in the second half was completely ghost. We win this game. We won the game. I think Ten Hag set us up in a way to win this game. Tries to change things as well, going for the 3-3-1-3 formation. But even in that moment, I would have still put Bruno in the 10. Put Rashford out wide. He can give you the legs and try and cause 1v1 situations. But even then, when he was doing that, running into blind alleys, there was a moment to go down the wing with your left foot, but you're trying to cut inside when the ball drops to you. So just overall, we weren't making the right decisions. Even Eriksen, someone so crisp, usually from deep areas, just wasn't able to create and get his foot on the ball. And
big up Marcel, speaking to him last night after the game. Manchester United's 1-0 victory over Real Sociedad in San Sebastian, but finishing second in the group because we did not win by 2 clear goals. We didn't touch on David De Gea there. And be sure to smash a like on the like button, guys. We can get to 200 likes. I know we can before we wrap things up in about 10 minutes or so. We didn't talk about David De Gea there with Marcel, but I thought David De Gea last night, once again, was excellent. It must be said. If you want to talk about, well, it depends what you want to talk about first in every aspect of being a goalkeeper. If we want to talk about distribution, his distribution I thought was good. Playing out from the back was good. I thought even at points, you've got to remember as well, this is a Spanish side who are going to press from the front, and they did press, but David De Gea dealt with it, and he did well. His pass is one of the build-up passes to the goal. It's a pass out to Bruno Fernandes, who flicks it on to Cristiano Ronaldo, who then has the weight of pass to give it to Garnacho, who of course then scores. So I thought David De Gea did well in that. And you can't not talk about his saves in that first half as well. There's a half volley, which actually, if that follow-up from the half volley had gone in, I think he'd be a little bit disappointed, because it's a half volley. It hasn't got a ton of pace behind the ball, and he kind of parries it, but he puts it into an area that, as a keeper, you don't really want to put it into that area. He kind of pushes it out and leaves it there for the follow-up. But what he does do really, really well in that instance, and this is what's so important for a goalkeeper, and you have, trust me, so many drills you do this where it's a shot and then it's bang. You're on the floor, get across to this next shot. And it's not even a case of, you know, really knowing what you're going to do. It's just a case of getting your body across there, making yourself big, and hoping that the ball is going to hit you and the striker isn't going to be super clinical, and you've just sort of put yourself in that area to make the save. And he did that. He really did. I thought the second save, again, it's not necessarily the save itself, it's the reaction to get over there and the reflexes to get over there, the speed to get over there quickly, and he did excellently there. And throughout the remainder of the game, I thought he was very good. I thought he was very composed. And what we are seeing, you know, to Ten Hag's credit, Flex asked him the question in the press conference, didn't he, when he said, you know, can David De Gea improve with his feet? Is he capable? And Ten Hag said he is capable. I think, you know, first and foremost, it's about keeping clean sheets. Did yesterday, tick. But I've seen from my time at the club that David De Gea is capable of, you know, improving and playing out from the back with his feet. We saw that yesterday, tick. And he can get better. And I think we are seeing him getting better. Is he the final solution to how Erik Ten Hag wants to have his goalkeepers playing? Time will tell. Time will tell when it comes to that. I still think that it's a really difficult decision to make, because when you see De Gea playing how he has been playing recently, you go, well, you'd keep him, but you wouldn't keep him on the wage that he's on right now. And it has to be a significant reduction in terms. And sometimes as a manager, you have to make those difficult decisions whereby you have to be thinking 3 or 4 years ahead. But also at the same time, the biggest priority position when you're looking at that side at the moment isn't necessarily the goalkeeping situation. It's to get another striker. It's to get a backup right back in. It's to get more attacking players. And, you know, then you start thinking, well, should we just give him a new contract on reduced terms and then focus our energies on those other positions? That is difficult. And as I've said before, I really am not sure if Erik Ten Hag has actually made up his mind on that. Yeah, I really think he's going to give De Gea the benefit of the doubt, or give him as long as possible to prove that he can do it with his feet, and he can do it on a long term and continually improve with his distribution. Because it's one thing to improve immediately, it's to say, okay, but in 2 years, how are you going to be really, really good with the ball at your feet? Or are we just improving a little bit, and is that your level in terms of your distribution? And do we have to compensate because of that? So it's a difficult one. It's a really difficult one. Again, in my opinion, I still probably would move in the direction of a younger keeper that is, you know, renowned for the ability with the ball at their feet, but at the same time, a younger keeper that's renowned with the ball at their feet, I don't know, makes the save yesterday or makes the save against West Ham at Old Trafford that won us the game in both instances. So it's a really, really difficult one, no doubt about it. Lil Yo-Yo with the super chat says, can we get a PS5 or games console emoji for Faz? Living in that PS5, it can get overheated very often. I spoke to Mina after the game. Of course, Mina was at UVHQ for the match view. Here's what Mina had to say.
Yeah, I think it 1-0, clean sheet. Obviously, Garnacho, bad boy. Bad boy. He's a bad... Garnacho is a bad boy. To take that chance, the weight of the pass from Ronaldo was inch perfect. But he still had to do a lot to even get a good opportunity on goal, and to smash that with his left foot, sent the keeper, smashed it into the roof. Bad boy. Garnacho is a bad boy. But I think people did underestimate Real Sociedad. Like, this is a team who've actually like won 9 of their last 11 games. They've always got possession. I think they averaged like around 56% possession. And they've conceded, 4 goals in like 8 games with like how many, like 4 or 5 clean sheets across those games. So we definitely underestimated them, but also we did not come in with our strongest team. We've had injuries. I think Ten Hag was a bit reactive with his change at second half, changing the formation, making changes. I think the lineup wasn't our strongest lineup. Donny van der Beek, his first 90 minutes, well, not 90 minutes, but his first start this season after having a little cameo last week, he didn't look that great in the first half. But one thing I will say is that starting the game, we did not look good. Like normally when we start first halves and our second halves, we are on the front foot immediately. We actually normally create a chance in the first 4 to 5 minutes of the half. Today we didn't do that, and I think that kind of set the tone. Real Sociedad, but they were there to not. I think they were there to win, but they knew they were comfortable. I think they knew that they were coming away with what they wanted, which was top of the table. Obviously, everyone's overlooking the fact that we won the game and that we had a clean sheet, but obviously, in a time when there's so much fixtures, obviously we don't want to have a knockout to get to the knockouts, if that makes sense. And today's game, there was so many individual performances where I could just pick at, but it was just one of them days where it just wasn't working. The referee he was consistently inconsistent. Like some of the calls that he was given absolutely was ridiculous, and I'd rather just sit here and talk about our team rather than the referee, because at the end of the day our players shouldn't let the referee's calls kind of get to them. That's where the professionalism kind of comes in, and I do think some of the calls that we were getting kind of got to a few players, but all in all I think it's just on to the next. Hopefully we get, like, I don't want a Spanish team. I don't want Sevilla. Because Spanish teams, honestly, they give me a headache.
Big up Mina, as always, there in UVHQ representing. And I really do agree with what Mina says. Her analysis is always top notch, but I really do agree with what she was saying there, that, you know, we have to move on to the next one. And I know we've talked about individual plays this morning, which you always have to do. That's what we always do here on Matchday Reloaded. But I think overall, just to kind of conclude, that you would just look at the entire team and just say, we just again, didn't do enough. Midfield lacked creativity. Yeah, we could talk about Donny, but we could also talk about Eriksen not being at it. I thought Casemiro did well, again, recovered the ball. You could look at the front three and say Bruno on the right-hand side did okay, but again, we lacked a little bit of creativity. Ronaldo, first half, did okay. Obviously gets the assist for the goal, and I thought he had some good movement, some good hold-up play. But like everyone, really, in the second half, just dropped off. Just dropped off. And I don't know if it's a case of all of these games starting to catch up with Manchester United. That might be a possibility. I thought we did look fatigued, and we have actually seen that. In the last, 2 or 3 games, we've seen that. Manchester United, as the game goes on, start to look really tired, start to look really lethargic, really leggy. And again, maybe that is these games starting to catch up with us. And now we head into the World Cup where they're going to be even more tired when they come back too. And that goes back to the squad depth just being required, and just not there just yet. But look, guys, overall, we did win the game. It's another clean sheet. We've got those big games now to come in February. The draw, you were saying to me earlier on, is Monday, so don't you worry, we'll get that all covered. And you never know, we could have a big game. Come, well, it will be a big game regardless of who we play, but certainly we could have a really big opponent, and that could be quite interesting to see. So there you go, guys. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Plenty of content coming up. Of course, we've got Match Day Sunday. It's another game, thick and fast. We've got Aston Villa at Old Trafford, so we'll have that covered. In the meantime, we'll have previews, etc., all coming. So be sure to smash a like on the like button. Easy for me to say. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. I'm off to get some coffee because apparently I'm still half asleep this morning. But I'll speak with you again very soon. Have a great Friday. Peace.